Alright, people, the warp doesn't take you out of the dungeon, it just takes you, to the beginning of the dungeon. Same goes for the next dungeon, actually, because they're a bit more interesting. Probably this takes place in the sky, and sort of foreshadows the sequel, Skyward Sword. So, yeah. It's kind of like KX's creepy castle. Alright, then. Alright, let's go. Of all the shards gathered here today, and by the power vested in me, I pronounce this mirror fixed. Some call it realm of world of shadows, but that makes it sound unpleasant. The twilight there holds a strange beauty. You have seen it yourself as the sun sets on this world. Bathed in that light, all people were pure and gentle. But things changed once that foul power pervaded the world. It was all our doing. We overestimated our abilities as sages and attempted to put an end to Ganondorf's evil magic. I hope you can find it in yourself to forgive our carelessness. Oh, Twilight Princess. What? So, you knew? Yep, Minna's a Twilight Princess. Who would have thought? As a ruler who fled her people, I'm hardly qualified to forgive you. In our world, we've long believed that the hero would appear as a divine beast. That's why when I found you, I thought I could use you, Link. And I only cared about returning our world to normal. I didn't care what happened to the world of light, not at all. But after witnessing the selfless lengths that Princess Zelda and you have gone to, your sacrifices, I now know in the bottom of my heart that I must save this world too. There is no other way. If we can just defeat Zod, the curse on me will dissolve, and we may be able to revive Zelda. Let's go, Link, for Zelda, for all this world. You guys can go now. So yeah, Midna is the Twilight Princess. And look, the dungeon entrance is on our map now. It's got a different mark this time, which is weird, but kind of cool. The Palace of Twilight. Kind of like Paper Mario 2's Palace of Shadow. It is kind of pretty, isn't it? Listen, Link. Can I ask you one last selfish favor? Regardless of what my reasons may have been, I once abandoned this world. I left behind the Twilight. Those who had followed me, who considered me their ruler. Even now, as they remain here suffering, they believe that help will come from this world. But if they were to see that the only help there was a hideous little imp, don't you think they'd feel let down? It's only for a little bit longer. Do you mind if I continue to hide as your shadow while you're in human form? I'm sorry. So it's kind of cool. Midna is the first Zelda partner that has an important role in the storyline, not just telling you how things work. Wait, this guy isn't an enemy, Link. They might look different, but they're inhabitants of this world. They're my people. Zont, how could he? So yeah, you can beat on them if you want, but Midna probably doesn't like that. So yeah, they look like the Twilight Messengers, but they're good guys apparently. So yeah, Palace of Twilight. Not a pretty bad place, wouldn't you say? Despite the fact that we're in Twilight, we're not going into wolf form. And this is the last area where you can see your favorite Twilight enemies, except for the Twilight Bulblins. The Twilight Bulblins are the only ones that are not here, which is kind of weird. All the other ones in here, including the Messengers, well, okay, the Parasites aren't here either, because there are no Tears of Light. And here's a new enemy, Zont's Mask. You have to kill every one of them if you want to move on. I wouldn't exactly call it the mission of the dungeon. They're basically just a bunch of kill rooms, you know? Well, this dungeon does have sort of a mission, but we'll get to that when it comes to it. And yeah, Twilight has more advanced technology, so their doors open automatically too, and there's lots of glowy lights. It almost looks like Tron or something. Link, be careful! This black fog is made up of shadow crystals created by Zont. They blot out light. It's responsible for stealing the light from the spirits and turning your world into Twilight. But it's not all powerful. We're prepared too. I can return you to your normal state whenever you need me, so don't worry, okay? Yeah, so black fog forces you to be a wolf. Two chests for the price of one. Thing about this dungeon is not really too much puzzle solving. So that kind of sucks. You'd think this, of all places, would be the last dungeon since we had to get the mirror shards to get here. But it's actually the second to last. Okay, here's what doesn't make sense. We really are getting the compass right before the map. Well, not right before, but long before anyway. So yeah, that's kind of weird. So yeah, you figured this would be the last dungeon, but it's just second to last. So at the minute, this actually counts as a regular dungeon. Well, partially regular.